a year, but they're okay with it because they all live out there. They don't want to be a cow pasture.
You have to let people in, or are they,
Tell me when.
I think it says there's two in, or?
Then there's two participants, but
Okay. I just know, I think we sent the link out to the waste management folks.
the 317 number on the line, can you hear us?
Yeah, this is Brent Miller with Waste Management. I can
Okay.
hear.
Thank you, just making sure. Appreciate it.
And then I'm assuming Dan's gonna join us.
Okay, are we ready?
Go for it.
I call to order the regular meeting of May 4th, 2023. Jessica Clark. Roll call.
Present.
Mike Dobson,
Here.
Mark Espich,
Here.
Paul Wonderly,
He is not able to make it tonight.
and Jacob Kosinski.
Here.
Yours truly, Roger Norat, Vice President, Don Spencer,
Probably on his way.
probably, but when Bush. Let the record, if Don shows up, just plug him in at that time in the minutes. I ask for approval of the minutes of the March 2nd, 2023 meeting. Has anybody looked at it?
Make the motion to approve.
Okay, I got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, have two comments. First comment under attendance, my name is misspelled. And back in the discussion in the Granger district. Be the third sentence. Representative JP and it's Willows.
Wilgus?
Wagos. So Wagos that needs to be added. Okay, I have- pardon?
Somewhere, or did he spell his name somewhere? Do we have it
Oh.
spelled? So she
I looked
may have
at
been on there, but it may have been hard to figure out.
WIELGOS.
That is correct.
Oh. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Or that.
Aye. Okay, report of the officers and others, treasurer's financial report.
We have our financial statements through April 30th, 2023. Our general account balance is 8,547. The Carriage Hills balance is 180,641. Wyatt is $34,325. Granger is $477,259. And Auden is $62,552. I will note at this time, there is a deposit in transit, but we don't have those
I
totaled.
do have those.
You do have
amounts.
them
I
now?
got them right after I
Okay.
sent out.
We
the
can fill
email.
that in. So our transit deposit for Wyatt,
$20,056. Granger, $40,820. And Auden, $3,502. In addition, when I was preparing financials, I found what appeared to be a deposit error between Wyatt and Auden for the month of April, and that was confirmed. So when you're looking at the balances, for instance, you're looking at Wyatt instead of $40,911, that is short by about $15,600. And then conversely, when you're looking at Auten, that 31,769 is too high by $15,600.
We'll
So
have the adjustment for May.
you have the check to deposit, so I went ahead and wrote the check, so it'll be reflected in May, yeah.
And we have our claims report, and this is gonna encompass 2 months. Since we didn't have our April meeting. So the total approved amount being requested is $115,484.85.
Do I have a motion to approve the accounts payable for April and May?
I'll make a motion to approve the amount of $115,484.85.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 I did have one question on the claims. I noticed that the AT&T for Quiet, there was quite a difference between the 2 months. I didn't know what the reason was for that. One was like $46, the other was $115. It's not a big difference, but I didn't know if there was a,
It's normally like
Discrepancy in-
$54, and somehow we got 2 or 3 months on one, and then we got a credit.
makes sense.
I don't know why it is so much less than, like, Auten is $240 a month for the same service. I'm not, never have understood why it's so much different, but
Everything is more cost effective than Wyatt. On our utilities.
it seems that way.
More cost effective.
Yeah,
Yeah, the NIPSCO, the electric provider in the Wyatt sub-district. It's incredible, the difference in the rates that are charged between our service providers and the other district areas. For the exact same thing.
that's $3.
Plus, you made us aware that we now are the proud owner, 100% owner of the wind turbine now. And
That's right.
Made our
So
final-
maybe we can make a cell tower out of it or put solar panels on
Sell
it.
advertising on it, I think banners.
There you go.
Okay, under general business, is there any request to extend municipal services into the territory?
Not that I'm aware of.
Having none, are there any customer inquiries or requests? Having none, we move to project updates. Ranger. George, I guess you you were keeping the minutes, weren't you? Of the committee meetings
Oh, I'm sorry, Granger on the hills.
Granger.
The hills.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
on the hills.
yeah, yeah.
I
So.
think that's why Pat's here.
Yep. So, we had at 2 meetings ago, a committee was formed to discuss, potential partnerships with the Hills developer on acceptance of the water system at the Hills, or, what could be done there. We've had we had 2 committee meetings in that time frame. I believe the second one was fully attended by the entire committee. The first one was a portion of the committee. The first one was largely introductory, but the second one was very helpful. I think the committee would recommend, and Don is here now, the committee would recommend to the board that there is the potential for accepting the donation of the water system. If the board is comfortable with that, and to authorize me as counsel to deal with Pat's counsel in Indianapolis on drafting an agreement for the board to consider on a donation. A number of things were looked at, and Steve Carter is working with Asbury on getting their financials for your system, Pat.
Yeah, Steve and I have not touched base yet, maybe.
So, the idea is that Steve would run a rate analysis as he would for any of the other district systems and come up with a proposed rate, and a rate that would work. And then we would have to figure out how to apply that rate, especially to the undeveloped portion of the project. I've had a couple of conversations with Pat's attorney on what that might look like. And I think that there are options for the district to run it similar to how you've run other sewer districts that have been donated before my time, but what's the one over the sewer district where it too was that the developer paid a fee during audit? Yeah, I know. That's where we stand. Don, you have anything to add to that?
Sums it up.
We also commented many times on Rogers Tan. It got better from the first meeting to the second meeting.
That did. I got a new computer.
Okay.
Better cameras. No, it had cameras, not an
Thing
add-on.
I would note, and Jacob has some experience with this, and Roger may have experience with this, but a water distribution system has different reporting requirements and more, I'll say, significant reporting requirements. And that needs to get included in the valuation in consideration on O&M costs and
We are told by the developer and Asbury that that's already happening, that the system is in full compliance with state law, that the quality of the water and the systems are all brand new. So the quality of the water and the quality of the systems are in good shape. I think that the committee had some concerns, and again, I don't want to speak for the committee, but just as a report of the minutes, the committee had concerns with the undeveloped land and making sure that that portion of the project is chipping in. And also that the financial rate analysis includes capital reserves for replacing the aging system.
And it's just also those reporting requirements would be forward though. I mean, that is the burden that then the district would absorb.
Yeah.
Not saying one way or another that it's good or bad in that respect, it's just to be. For us to
Enough.
recognize that there is more stringent reporting requirements that
It would be,
we would by law have to be in compliance with.
it would be your first foray into water. The IURC would then be eliminated from the conversation. IDEM obviously would not.
Get rid of those guys.
But, and I believe the IURC understands that. I don't think that there's any objection from them to this plan or proposal.
They are aware of it.
They are, I believe. Pat?
Yeah, so a couple things if I could comment or add some additional color to. Asbury, certainly, although this would be the first water system for the RWSD, it's not the first water system for Asbury, so they're familiar with the additional reporting requirements to IDEM. My attorney has had a conversation with the IURC, and they are aware that we're stepping out onto the dance floor, and those were received very favorably. So.
I think that really the key is the financial conditions. How does this make sense for us? And in part for Pat, it is his asset. So, that would be the next step. So once Steve has his rate analysis done, I think then that enables Pat to consider a proposal, or even for Pat's attorney and I to go back and forth on some different proposals. Pat's attorney is pretty experienced in the IURC and some of that. And I think he also has pretty good experience with water system, sewer system districts. We both agree the district is exempt from the IURC. There is, the statute's very clear. The IURC has absolutely no authority over you. You don't need to file for an exemption. You are exempt by the language of the statute. And largely because you are a municipal body, you have to have, like we're going to do later with the ordinance for Wyatt, you have multiple readings, you have public hearings, you satisfy the necessary requirements for allowing for public input during the rate analysis consideration. But I guess I kick it to Steve. Have you gotten enough, or do you have a sense of when you might be able to complete the rate analysis?
No. So I reached out to Asbury and I haven't received anything at this point, but it sounds like you've had communication with Tom. Did Tom reach out to you?
Tom Asbury,
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay, well, so I reached out to Dan Fox first, and Dan said you need to talk to Tom. Tom's the guy that put it together. And I reached out to Tom a couple times and have not received any communication back. So if you have
Yeah, I'm happy to
anything
follow
you
up.
can directly send to me, that would be great.
But the committee made that kind of a stipulation that once we get all the financial information for its operations. And then some advice from Asbury on its continuing operations, Jessica. Right? Then we consider rate.
Who put it in? Was it Peerless that did your well?
Yes. Yeah. We built the structure, the building. Fearless did the wells and all of the equipments in it, water studies, all that stuff, and then, we, did the distribution system, the infrastructure inside the subdivision.
Well, I guess at this point, I don't think there's any action that needs to be taken. It's
Yes.
more of an,
We have an open share.
we do. Yes.
Mike doing these days.
I understand.
Probably. Sure he doesn't want to spend a Thursday with us once a month.
Any other
With
questions?
that, I think we were waiting for the input. So as soon as we get the input, we can proceed, Pat. Moving on, I would like to relinquish the chair back to Don Spencer to join the meeting.
Did you have a final comment?
And we're at Carriage Hills in the project updates.
Hey, Roger, I think Pat has one more. comment.
Yes, Pat.
So, David McKinsky, my attorney, is gonna be looking for a report for tonight's meeting. Was there, a resolution that was needed, or we're just gonna share with him that we're moving forward?
Yeah, we can't make a resolution until we understand what the rate analysis might be legally. They're required to create a rate analysis. My report to David tomorrow, and I promised him one after tonight, is that we are still waiting for the rate analysis. Once we get that done, David and I can pick up negotiations on finalizing a potential donation agreement that would be in line with what the committee recommended. And then presented to the board. I know you have some timing issues with the IURC currently. Hopefully, I have sent him an email giving him,
Yeah,
Our
we had
progress.
this conversation with the IURC in the last like 7 or 10 days, so they're up to speed, they know what's going on here. I think that will, I don't even want to say bias time, but they will be understanding, knowing that we're going through this process. And then, Steve, do you have a card?
Not on me now. I'll get you my contact information if you need it. You leaving now?
Okay, I might. Just want to give.
You want to miss all the other excitement? No, we're
Oh, that's
just-
fine. I haven't been a minute. Yeah. Well, I'll just check this out.
Yeah, so maybe already, I'm pretty sure.
and with that.
Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
What's documentation? Because we're not receiving the check.
So, he's good. Yeah, he's very.
Carriage Hills. Yeah, we do financials, all right? Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, we're in district
Oh.
projects.
Cool, deal. But Carriage Hills,
Thank you to report.
about Wyatt.
Wyatt, in front of you on your desk is a draft of the Wyatt ordinance. It's actually your ordinance number 2023-1. It is our first ordinance of the year, I believe. I don't think we've numbered it incorrectly. I don't think we've done it this year. It is an ordinance amending our 2022-1 rate ordinance for the Wyatt sub-district. At the last meeting, we had that, I believe you voted to allow me to draft the ordinance. Drafted the ordinance in conjunction with both Dan Fox and Asbury and JPR as the district's engineers, as well as input from Waste Management. If you recall, this is an ordinance that amends the Schedule 2 on the Wyatt ordinance, which was the ordinance or the schedule that specifically enumerated the leachate parameters as well as the parameters that Waste Management would comply with in regards to acceptance of the leachate, et cetera. There's been some change to the first section of Schedule 2, updating some of the various numbers as well as updating the testing procedures. But the largest change is by far to subsection G, which is the discharge limitations and monitoring requirements. Dan, are you on?
Yes,
I will let Dan speak to it. Dan, do you have it in front of you and are you able to discuss it with the board?
sure, yes. We basically took what the limitations were in milligrams per liter and converted that to pounds. So we're not asking or not trying to take on any more poundage than we were before, but it allows the discharger to send us a little stronger leachate so we can still accept it without creating violations for them or us. So we're still within the confines of our obligation to IDEM, but it allows a little more flexibility for the district to take that stuff without creating violations for the discharger, if that makes sense to everyone.
If you look to the specifics, the two that I think were really affected were CBOD5 and NH3-N. It was Brett Miller, engineer at Waste Management, I believe is also online. Are you here, Brett?
Yes, I am.
Brett, I got your email from a little later in the day, and I think you had one more request for change. Could you explain that to us?
Yeah, I just asked that the monthly average units be pounds per day. I guess just for clarity, it's probably implied, but I think the loading base is, I think the intention is a pounds per day.
Under that monthly average column, is that what you're saying?
That's right. I mean, it's clear for the daily maximum column, but the monthly average, you know, I think the per day is important to add.
Yep, and I agree. So I'm gonna mark my copy, and then the published copy will include the per day edit. When are we publishing?
Probably Friday to have the time frame to meet the June 1st meeting.
If you guys, I know you just got this, you know, it has been vetted by your engineers and your operator. But open for questions, open for discussion.
I'm good with it as long as Asbury and JPR. I guess the main thing obviously is it still falls inside the guidelines of IDEM. So I have no issue with it. I concur with.
And I think your action tonight is to vote to publish it,
Subject to the modification.
subject to the modification on the addition of per day under the monthly average column to make sure that the, you know, no one's reading this saying 33 pounds per month is what we're giving them.
I'll make the motion to publish it.
Have a motion, do I have a second? I'll second it. I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Giving you an update.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Giving you guys an update further on Wyatt. Today we had another meeting with JPR on the potential plant study that they're doing for us in that sub-district. The final report is coming. It really isn't. We didn't have a chance to digest it for today's meeting, but there's a report coming to you. JPR will be here to give you a presentation on that at the June 1st meeting.
With representatives of Waste Management as well. And probably, well, there may be a discussion prior to that meeting and or further discussion to then determine what our steps with Waste Management may be to pursue the future of consideration of the project, if that is indeed the direction that both parties want to head.
So I guess the question is, when would you guys like to set a committee to meet with Waste Management, or do you just want me to do it? How would you like to proceed in that regard? Waste Management would like to continue discussing the potential for either the improvements or what the sub-district looks like. They spent a lot of money on that report, obviously, and the report will be ready before the next meeting, so I guess that's at the whim of the board. If you wanted to set the committee today and then work before the June 1st meeting, or if you want to wait for the June 1st meeting, have the presentation on the report and then set a committee. There's no real difference except for timing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. Will we see the report well enough in advance that we can actually set up a committee meeting and have a discussion, or wait till the whole dog and pony is over with and then we can actually sit down?
I think we may want to have that first discussion in June.
I think that's reasonable. So I will have that on the agenda for the next meeting for the Wyatt project.
I mean, if they actually publish that report for distribution prior to, if we all get our hands on it, please, then we kind of.
I think you're gonna get your hands on it. I think it's going out to your emails in the next day or two.
I suspect there will need to be communication between Waste Management and the board before we really want to consider taking action in any direction.
Yeah, because I'm sure this is gonna have, you know, option A, B, and C. We're gonna like our option, and they're gonna like their option, and then there we go. As long as we're not at 1 penny, it's be a better starting point than last time.
All right, very good. That's all I got.
Anything else for Wyatt? Wow. Nice, quiet little district. Hearing none, now go to county reports, please.
Just for all, we'll have a new customer in on the property of the northeast corner of Audit Kenilworth is connected, so.
Oh,
Is that the reason from the minutes, there was a discussion about Kenilworth and Otton? Okay.
There was some debate on whether or not there was a sewer line there. Yes.
It's the northeast corner. Yeah, whoever has taken over that property has turned it from not much to, they put some money in it.
I have
the commercial.
Yeah, it's, no, it's residential, but it was, yeah, it's vastly improved.
Dog patchy thing you see over there. There's a couple of them. All right, let's go to area plans. Obviously, no report, county surveyor. County health,
No report?
county engineer. Old business,
The only thing I was gonna ask is I was not at the March meeting. I see where North Liberty came in, asked for approval of the district to extend water and sewer to Tater Creek Park.
I think they asked for the approval to extend services into the district for that. property.
Okay. Was there any discussion at all of is that something that if La Paz down the road needs, or excuse me, Lakeville needs something, or is it kind of too late to think about that?
I was speaking with their attorney this afternoon, and he said,
Marcel, the.
Marcel
Liberty's
Levin,
attorney.
he's also our attorney.
Is he-
So we were talking about it, and he said that they would need to know, because if they need to upsize that sewer main, if Lakeville wants to connect, they need to let them know so they can plan for a larger sewer main.
they're still uncommitted. They don't know. They haven't made any plan or made any.
And final plans are underway for the extension of the utility.
Right, I'm saying our friends at Lakeville haven't had to make any, I mean,
And it's a force main, right?
The sewer is partial gravity. And it's a mixture of force main and gravity.
or Potato Creek.
Wasn't it, there was a lift station in the park that pumped it out to
Yes,
I thought that's what I remember.
yes.
Yeah.
The gravity sewers in the south side of State Road 4.
Yeah, Marcel did say that he thought North Liberty had capacity to handle Lakeville, just have to get it there.
Is it geographically easier to get it to the park and North Liberty, or is it easier to get it to Wyatt?
Mileage wise, it's a JPR question, because I know they've done that study.
It's what?
It's a JPR question, because I know they've done that study.
But it's a heck of a lot closer mileage wise to get to the state park entrance on Highway 4 to Lakeville versus Lakeville to
Yeah.
Wyatt.
Oh, yeah. Even if they have to, they doink around and have to do a pipe from Lakeville all the way into, that's still shorter.
Right now, I believe it's an 8-inch, so they need to,
No,
you know, it's basically the cost of the difference in the pipe materials and maybe a little labor. So if they're thinking about it, this is the cheapest they're ever gonna get.
That section of it.
Yeah. Because it's being built on the state's dollar.
I guess the only frustration I have is that obviously that project just didn't happen 15 minutes ago. It's been discussed for a while in North Liberty and state level for their park. And that there's no communication with the district and or with Lakeville, if this could have been thought about 2-3 years ago. And again, I don't know what the time frame is, but it sounds like,
Park's driving the bus.
right. And it's just a shame that there wasn't more communication amongst.
And at this point in time, I would imagine that there isn't time for them to pile up the resources necessary to even say, hey, we'll pay for bigger pipe. Because it would not be something they could just write a check for.
No.
Who are you talking about, Lakeville?
Lakeville.
Well, it's a problem.
we still have authority, correct?
Not there,
Not within their.
Not within
municipal
their-
limits.
not within their geographic area. Because they were.
Probably would have to be an
in a-
agreement.
Yeah, in our local agreement. Any way they wanna go realistically.
Well, Jessica and I have seen them, and I have seen the number for the Wyatt improvement. It's a big number.
Well, sure.
So,
And they
The
still wanna
future.
talk to us?
well, yeah, but the future may require. I don't know how long, I don't know. That district's an interesting district, just having, one big user and then, not even a bunch, right?
Handful.
Like a handful of them. Somebody like Lakeville could make a big difference in the future. of the
Oh,
Wyatt.
of course, absolutely.
Alright,
Don't seem to be in a hurry. They've got their own plant. Yeah.
Is it functioning?
We have a lagoon system.
Yeah.
They have 2 lagoons. So I think that they have to store
Yeah.
all winter and then they wait until the spring when their permit allows them to discharge during high water flow months. Anyway,
yeah,
Mike, did that answer your question about what happened there?
alright. New
On old
business?
business, I don't know if this is new or old business, but you do have an empty seat. Which puts you in an awkward position. What has been the process in the past for filling a vacancy? Have you guys made recommendations?
We've tried to find good candidates that were interested and wanted to serve and then provide that information to the appointed body. Making a recommendation.
So I believe it's Barry's. Barry was the most recent. Is that one of the
It's a-
commissioners?
it's a council seat.
That was the county council.
Oh, that was the county council seat.
Yeah, and that's the harder one to get filled. Is there any anybody even interested?
I have a name. Who has spoken to me, I don't know. Tell you offline, or you want it here? Pat Matthews is asking about it.
What a shock.
He still has a fascination with utilities. And he likes showing up on Thursday nights.
Well, there you go. I mean, beggars can't all be that true.
There was another guy that had expressed interest and he was supposed to have sent you a letter in regards, but if you haven't received it, then. Yeah,
Unless he sent it here and it got lost.
yeah.
And that's a possibility.
That is a possibility.
That is a possibility.
I can reach out to him and see
See,
if he
yeah,
has, and if he has, or
Email is perfectly acceptable.
yeah,
I was gonna say, I will.
email,
have him email.
higher likelihood will actually get it.
And I would have absolutely no problem with Pat. My only concern would be, we have this subject we need to address first and then.
And I mean, I think that
And or recuse himself.
recusal is an option.
Yeah.
But I did think of him when we talked about it, it came up very casually in conversation. And, you know, I think he's fairly well versed with what you do here.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, so if he wants to formally ask, we would need something of that.
Typically, they request at least a resume, if not a cover letter, or just something expressing the interest, and they do want a resume.
So you can pass that on to him.
I will.
Be happy to entertain that. And same thing, if you can get your guy, if he's still really interested, then let's get that, so we have some options. Sounds good. It's easier to run with a full board.
Yeah, we've noticed in the past few months, getting a quorum is difficult.
And that's been the history. You get one down and it gets dicey, and it's not critical at the moment because we don't have gotta be here every month because it's a project going on. But when that time comes, it's harder. Then you're always doing we can't get a quorum for this Thursday, or next Thursday, or the next Thursday, and we've done that before too. All right, privilege to the floor. About call for adjournment.
Make a motion.
I got a motion, I got a second. All those in favor say aye. None ever have been opposed to that.
You know the changes you need to make here, Mary, you want to mark them.
I got 'em.
Roger, good to see you in person.
Oh, good to see you.
You got back just in time for diesel weather.
Yeah, right. No, I've been back.
Oh, you